We now have an official cause of death in the case of George Floyd. On Monday, the Hennepin County Medical Examiner Office and an autopsy commissioned by George Floyd's family have both come out on the same day. Actually, the Hennepin County Medical Examiner's Office report actually came out after the independent autopsy commissioned by the family had come out. So now, first, I want to talk about the independent one, right? No, I'm sorry, not the independent one, but the one from Hennepin County. That's the medical examiner. So they said that cardiopulmonary arrest complicating law enforcement subdual, restraint, and neck compression was the official cause of death. So basically, they're like, the police, we're just trying to subdue him. And it was George Floyd's fault for having these conditions that made it so that he died when you just had normal, pressure put on his neck. By the way, his knee, Derek Chauvin's knee, Officer Chauvin, was on the neck of George Floyd for at least 8 minutes, applying pressure. This is ridiculous. Get out of here. What a joke. What a joke, right? So the medical examiner's report says they found no physical findings that support a diagnosis of traumatic asphyxia or strangulation. They suggest that Floyd's existing health conditions, coronary artery disease and hypertensive heart disease, combined with being restrained by police and any, quote, potential intoxicants in his system, had contributed to his death. How unlucky for the cops that they just happened to restrain this man, who obviously had so many problems, and not their fault. I mean, boy, the cops just had a really unlucky situation here. Oh man, really? I mean, look, at the time, George Floyd, he was calling out for his mother. Now, what's important about that, and why I bring that up, is because Floyd's mother had been dead for 2 years, at least. So there was some serious mental distress going on, which would be consistent with lack of blood flow and oxygen to the brain, that he might be seeing his mother. I don't know. There's something going on here, right? And it's because, of course, you had that officer, the restricting that blood flow to his brain, because that officer had his knee literally in the guy's neck. So now we go to the independent autopsy here. They stated that asphyxiation from sustained pressure was the cause of Floyd's death. And this was done by Dr. Michael Baden and Dr. Alicia Wilson. They performed the autopsy and said there was, quote, neck and back compression that led to a lack of blood flow to the brain. They added that the weight on the back, handcuffs, and positioning were contributory factors because they impaired the ability of Mr. Floyd's diaphragm to function. So what you have here is, of course, confirmation of the actions of Derek Chauvin and the other officers that were directly responsible for George Floyd's death. There's no way around it. So that is two conflicting reports. And so now Baden and Wilson said also that it appears that Floyd had died at the scene, which is again, different than the official police report of the incident that said that when he went to the hospital, that's when he died from complications, right? But no, that's not what happened. So now Baden says, what we found is consistent with what people saw. There's no other health issue that could cause or contribute to this death. Police have this false impression that if you can talk, you can breathe. That's not true. Well, it wasn't true here. It wasn't true in the case of Eric Garner. Remember, Eric Garner's last words were, "I can't breathe," before he then was choked out and died from a police officer. Maybe, I don't know, maybe when someone says that I can't breathe, you might want to believe them and stop putting pressure on their neck, or stop your illegal chokeholds, any of that, right? Maybe you should stop that. I mean, it's not as if the three other officers that were there weren't restraining him. They were. And he was literally handcuffed on the ground for a non-violent offense. You got him, guys. You got him. You've used overwhelming force. Are you guys such cowards, the four of you, that you had to use overwhelming force? Because, well, what do you think this guy's going to Hulk out and then destroy all of you? I don't know. But they had to have been so scared in order to do what they did to keep, again, nonviolent crime. This was over a counterfeit $20 bill. I've said before, a white person does it, has a counterfeit 20 and tries to use it. Yes, they're going to get the cops called them. Are the cops going to treat them like that? Absolutely not. I know, because I was in that same situation. I've been there, and there are other people that have been in the same situation as well that have come into possession of a counterfeit $20 bill and had no idea. Now, maybe he did, but it doesn't mean that he was deserving of death. And so that's the problem. Now, the other thing here is maybe this was personal for Derek Chauvin. Look, I don't know for sure, but I did read accounts, and I'm guessing they're going to come out later if these accounts are true, that they worked at the same club together. So I don't know if there was like a personal vendetta here or what. It's something that people are going to definitely have to look into when it comes to the trial of Derek Chauvin, who has already been arrested and charged with third-degree murder and manslaughter. And so, but that first autopsy, come on, man. Wow. Like, that's amazing. No blame on the cops whatsoever. Oh, it was just routine, what they were doing, and it just happened to be, Floyd's fault for, being out of shape. His fault. Health conditions. What are you going to do? That's the first one. And the reason that they put that out, by the way, is these coroners work with the police every single day. They're friends. They're buddies. Maybe they even go, have beers with each other on the weekend, meet each other's families, have a barbecue, whatever, right? At the very least, they work together, and it helps to have a good relationship with the cop if you're a coroner, and a good relationship with the coroner if you're a cop. It goes both ways, right? You don't get that by working against each other. And so, of course, they have a vested interest in keeping that good relationship alive, even if it means, coming up with those results that make sure that you don't hold the police officers accountable. And that's the problem. And so I'm actually happy that we got this independent autopsy investigation, which was a real one, because in these cases, you can't trust the people that are close to the police, that work with the police. And so you can't trust that official narrative from the Hennepin County's medical examiner. I wish you could, but you really, really can't. Because, as always, power sides with power, and power always does everything it can to defend itself. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent, progressive media.